Broadcasting live from a cherished token of a lady's affection, this is Pop Culture Reference, your one-stop reference for all things pop culture. I'm one of your hosts, Garrett Strother.
And I'm your other host, Seamus Connolly.
And today we're going to be breaking down a childhood favorite of both of ours. We mentioned it at the end of the show last week. You thought we were joking. We are not. It is time for the Apple Dumpling Gang.
Yes, it is going to be an absolute time. Like I said, we were pretty much joking at the time anyway, but there is no better time like the present to dive into a movie that's from 100 years ago, and not a ton happens in it, but I'm very excited to get into it with you.
This is technically our second installment, or like second and a half, like it's like a Lion King 1.5 situation, of our Disney Plus deep dive series, which we said we were going to start all the way back in like December 2019. And we did that one Rocketeer episode, then we did the Rocketeer episode again because that one went so disastrously with the echo and the audio quality issues. And now now we're on our second full one. Yeah,
I think we've been at least mentioning this in association with Disney Plus for some reason since the very beginning, and you guys asked for it. We finally broke down. We got it. We're doing it. It's gonna be a blast, and it really was. I think I had a lot of fun revisiting this because I remembered 100% of nothing about this movie, so it was not even like a rewatch for me. It was truly like going in fresh.
It's all the Harry Morgan stands out there that were just clamoring for us to cover Apple Dumpling Gang. When are you guys going to cover Apple Dumpling Gang?
Let's go, finally. All those ladderheads out there. What do you call the Apple Dumpling Gang fan group? We'll give you an official release date for our special Apple Dumpling Gang Rides Again episode coming soon.
We do not know what we're doing in 3 weeks, Seamus. That's a dangerous proposition.
Oh my god, it might be. It might be.
Okay, let's do news before we move into some of the exact same jokes that we've already been making in our main segment. Once again, real quiet this week except for a major video game acquisition.
Yeah, just today the news dropped that Sony has bought out and acquired Bungie for $3.6 billion with a B dollars.
Seamus, what is Bungie? Tell me about them.
Well, I mean, famously, Bungie was involved in and bought by rival gaming giant Microsoft to develop the original Halo Combat Evolved all the way back in, what was that, 2001?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, God, ages ago. And since then, they've made a lot of other very solid games for both Xbox and PlayStation. Most recently, they've been rolling out consistent update content for Destiny 2 for like years now that it's been free to play. But now Sony has scooped them up. I've heard that they have already publicly announced that they're still committed to a multi-platform distribution for their games, but you know, this is definitely just another feather in the cap of Sony after all those other Microsoft acquisitions. Kind of calling it last week, we were both talking about, like, this is probably going to lead to a little Cold War of sorts, trying to build up their own arsenals, and this is realistically just another one in a long line of acquisitions before the end of the year. I mean, it's still very early, and there's a lot of games to get made.
I don't have much to say. I feel like beyond what my sentiments were last week, if you didn't listen last week, just how bad this is for the consumer, how bad this is for gaming as a whole. Like, sure, it's good to have competition in terms of, like, making quality better, but the more and more things get scooped up by these juggernauts, the more inaccessible gaming becomes, and that just is sad. And I know you said that they've said they're committed to a cross-platform mentality, but still, I worry.
I felt this one was a lot more of a mild kind of ripple in the gaming industry here compared to the Activision Blizzard one, where they kind of only hinted at keeping a time limit on their exclusivity stuff, but I just know that with the amount of money that Sony could dedicate to a team like this, they can really put out some quality stuff, especially since they've been, in my opinion, kind of stifling since Destiny 2, a game that I didn't really love that much. I think it kind of got bogged down in a lot of loot stuff and microtransaction things, but I would like to see the power of money behind a team that I know can put out something like, those early Halo games were just, iconic for a reason.
But yeah, that's it for video game news. I'm sure next week Microsoft will buy Nintendo, so just watch out for that.
Next week we probably actually will have a little bit more to talk about on the video game front. We've got a tease for another PlayStation State of Play.
Oh.
Right in time for them to maybe reveal that PS Now, PS Plus merger, which has a very slick code name that I am now forgetting, like Project Spartacus or something. Yeah,
Spartacus, that's what it is.
But this is all conjecture. We won't know until Wednesday. I think the highlight is going to be Gran Turismo 7, I believe is what the announcement was.
I'm thrilled about that. I love Gran Turismo.
Gran Turismo, everybody's favorite PlayStation game.
I'd rather play Hot Wheels Unleashed, Seamus.
I would say more about this specific subject, but I gotta save it for my rec center, Garrett. I can't go there too quickly, my friend.
Ooh. Okay. Well, I'm dying to get to the end of this episode now. Can I fast forward in real time just to find out?
This week's rec center is Hot Wheels Unleashed on the PlayStation 5.
No, we gotta make it through our main segment and our reference, so why don't we go ahead. If I knew any of the lyrics to the Apple Dumpling Gang theme, I would speak them aloud now, but I don't. So just pretend that I do, and that's our transition.
You can't hit them with the they're called the Apple Dumpling Gang.
I guess there you go. Now
fade out.
I think it's
this week's main segment is the Disney classic, The Apple Dumpling Gang, 1970, right?
It is 1975. You are far off.
Far off. A timeless classic nonetheless. You kind of talked about it up top. This is like a childhood thing for us both, actually, separately. Again, our lives intertwining like they always do, and I thought it was an absolute joy to watch again. I've seen it on there when we first got Disney Plus, when it first dropped. It's been on my list forever, and I had a great time rewatching it. What about you? What are some spoiler-free thoughts about this classic?
Well, it's hard to talk about the Apple Dumpling Gang without talking about spoilers, because it's just such a wild minecart ride of a time. But I mean, obviously, I think you and I are both carrying a lot of nostalgia into this one, so it's not. Not like, we're not discussing it as a film. We're discussing it as a cowboy movie that we both liked when we were kids. I was actually pretty pleasantly surprised by the quality coming to this one. I mean, the cast, of course, is just fantastic. If we want to run it down, we've got Bill Bixby in the lead role. His love interest is Susan Clark. But really, who shines here is the supporting cast, which Slim Pickens is a wonderful bad guy who dresses up as a reverend. Yeah. Harry Morgan, who we mentioned up top, best known for his roles in a lot of other serious westerns, like the Oxbow Incident, and of course, Colonel Potter on MASH. John McGiver, who you and I both didn't realize was the voice of the mayor from 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, another weird, deep pull. And finally, of course, the comedic geniuses, Don Knotts and Tim Conway, who are single-handedly elevating this movie way beyond what it is.
Yeah, the real stars of this film. Those boys really are maybe the only very slim memories that I had of this movie was just of them two.
I think it's a fun time. I think if there's any kid that you know that's into cowboys, this is a good movie to show them. I always had a great affinity for it. I loved Don Knotts when I was a kid because, all 8-year-olds growing up in 2006 really loved Don Knotts.
He is a timeless comedian. I don't know. I think anybody anywhere could love that man.
He's wonderful. He really, really is. He's really funny. And he and Tim Conway have fantastic chemistry in this.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I kept saying to each other, how much of this were they just coming up with themselves?
What a loose structure for a movie it really is. I think they had to fill some good time, and they made that extra time a lot more colorful, and it worked out so well.
Yeah, because it's Bill Bixby is a degenerate gambler who thinks he's taking care of valuables when he agrees to take charge of a new arrival coming into town, but it turns out to be 3 children, who he immediately tries to sell into slavery, but reluctantly becomes a father figure to them.
Really, now that we're getting into it, he earns no part of any of the affection that he gains in this movie between the woman that he ends up with and the children that he suddenly is the father to. He's like a bad person from start to finish, and they're just like, Mr. Donovan, you can't do no wrong. You can take me to the bathroom, and you're gonna be my new dad. It's great.
I guess this is spoilers for the Apple Dumpling Gang. The only thing that he really does that I feel like is really actually like showing that he's a better man than the other people in the town is when the kids find gold in their old mine that's their only inheritance. He is the only one that's not trying to directly exploit them. Like, he cares about their well-being and isn't trying to steal all their money.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess, like, comparatively, everybody else in this town is kind of a scumbag, except for the barber, sheriff, judge, tailor, surgeon, dentist guy.
What a great character in this movie. Like,
yeah.
They were just having so much fun.
Right.
I mean, he's really good, and that's Harry Morgan, who is, of course, the best.
Yeah, I loved all of his weirdly threatening scenes, which is, I guess, most of his bigger lines are like threatening execution to people for like wronging people in his town, which the law seems insanely arbitrary in this town, if I'm being honest. I don't know.
It's just his own whims. Like, it's whatever he's feeling, I think, is the law in the town.
One of the rules that he listed that would get him executed was like going back on a deal with a man or whatever. It's like, that's not technically illegal. You're gonna execute me for that?
Yeah, there's lots of stuff that I did not catch when I was 6 or 7 in this movie that we did catch last night watching it, including that threat where he says he's gonna, something about like a hemp rope or something, like implying he's gonna hang him.
He calls it like a hemp party, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're just like, oh my god, that is like a brutal threat, though, you know, veiled enough for children, but he's like clutching his neck after that.
And not to mention, there's a lot of prostitution going on in this movie. Just
oh yeah, in the background,
bunch.
For sure.
Yeah. Smoking, drinking.
Yeah, he's smoking a big old cigar most of the movie. A lot of the set pieces are in the saloon where they're playing poker. Definitely a very cowboy thing for a G-rated movie. You know, a lot of G-rated things would be considered very different these days, but...
Well, just think, this same year, there was a PG movie that you might be familiar with called Jaws.
Holy crap, Jaws is PG?
Oh, yeah.
That movie's brutal.
Yeah, you know, things were different back in the day. Seamus, you know...
That's fair. Only one person gets kinda shot in this movie, which, you know, again, I probably, as a kid, was one of the reasons that I was more than likely just, like, doing something else while this movie was on, because there's, like, guns, but they just, like, show them, you know? There's a good bit where a gun falls apart, but no one's ever really in, like, a real gunfight.
I mean, I adore the joke that Amos and Theodore, Don Knotts and Tim Conway are too poor to afford bullets, so they just carry around guns that don't have any bullets in them.
Truly, truly inspiring. And that, like, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid standoff talk where they're like, they're coming, we're gonna hold our ground, this is the end of the gang, I love you, brother, go out in a blaze of glory.
And
so
it's
funny.
The little kids. Yeah, it's so funny.
It's the little kids just sneaking up on him.
I think the standout sequence in this film, obviously, is them trying to get a ladder out of a fire station while there is a sleeping dog and firemen that they're constantly stepping over.
Truly some of the best physical comedy. Good lord, it was very funny.
It's like
stepping over him almost
impressive.
Truly, it is. It is very impressive, and like could be funny, and I'm gonna watch this movie again sometime, and it's still gonna make me laugh out loud like it did the other day. Almost dropping it on the sleeping guy's head, accidentally putting it through another hut, and like casually leaning on it as Donovan walks by. Like, that was hilarious.
Really, really good stuff. And I remembered them being in it more, frankly.
Oh yeah, me too.
Because I think when I was a kid, I remember there being a lot, like, at the end of the movie, I was like, yeah, they're a family now. They went through so much together.
Family.
Like, yeah, like, at the end of Fast 10, Dom is like, I feel like we always have this Corona and this barbecue chicken, but I really wish that we had some dessert. And then you hear from the corner, Mr. Toretto, I gotta go. That's right. The Apple Dumpling Gang has entered the Fast and the Furious cinematic universe.
Oh my god. Fast X Dumpling Gang. Here we go.
2 Apple, 2 Dumpling.
Oh, that's very funny. Just like a CGI zombie Don Knotts is the bad guy. He has the nugget of gold.
No.
They are the de facto bad guys for although incompetent, they are trying to rob these children until these children just give them the gold.
Give them the gold, yeah. Slim Pickens, about halfway through the movie, they're like, oh yeah, Slim Pickens, he's the real bad guy, but don't worry about it.
You didn't even realize that was their old gang leader that they talk about in the beginning of the movie until like the very end.
Because I have no media literacy, Seamus. I do not know how to watch a movie.
Again, making me wonder why I was watching this so young. It would have been like watching a wall to me. I would have not picked up a single thing. Still absolutely entertaining. Throwing a bucket of water on Don Knotts' head? Get out of here. That's classic comedy, but I wouldn't be making much sense of anything else.
I did not remember the entire sequence at the end where the fire wagon goes into a roaring river and Bill Bixby and Slim Pickens are just absolutely wailing on each other.
Yeah, just have a Indiana Jones style walloping fist fight on this carriage going down the river. He beats Slim Pickens until he is pretty much unconscious and drags him through a river to get arrested.
Good guy Bill Bixby, good guy Donovan. He does save him. Slim Pickens falls out the back.
Right, yes,
and
course.
He throws him the fire hose and reels him in. He saves him from drowning.
Puts him in jail. Does he show up in the second one? I truly can't remember the second one either.
Literally the only characters in the second film that return are Amos and Theodore. Harry Morgan is in the second film, but he's playing an entirely different character.
No, what? That's weird. Okay.
And I remember as a kid, being very distinctly disappointed with the Apple Dumpling Gang rides again, waiting the entire time for the rest of the Apple Dumpling Gang to show up, and then, because they have like one line at the beginning where they're like, yeah, we had to leave the kids back at the ranch.
That's pretty good, by the way.
Thank you.
We vaguely talked about this, like a true legacy sequel or a reboot of the Apple Dumpling Gang.
I think we were talking about Joel Cohen's Apple Dumpling Gang.
Oh, yeah. I'd love it. I truly would. I know less and less, like, kid actors every year, so I really don't know who would be.
Noah Jupe is the old one. That's what I got for you.
Who is that?
Noah Jupe. He was in Ford v Ferrari. He's the son from Quiet Place and No Sudden Move.
Okay. Sure.
That's your oldest kid in Joel Cohen's Apple Dumpling Gang.
Is Joel Cohen even gonna be funny with this? I want Charlie Day to be like in one of the bumbling boy roles.
I think this is like their True Grit. I think it's like it gets real. It's real serious. It's
okay.
You get Javier Bardem. He's the Slim Pickens role, so he brings some real gravitas in, right?
Doesn't he have a leg brace in No Country for Old Men, or am I crazy?
I've seen that movie once.
I think, isn't he like a lumbering, limping guy in that? I could be fully misremembering.
He does have a limp, that's for sure. But I think that's maybe just at the end after. Well, we don't need to spoil No Country for Old Men.
Right.
John Malkovich is the Harry Morgan role, like just absolutely going nuts.
Hell yeah!
They're really leaning into how unhinged this guy is and how he is the law.
Using his gun as a gavel.
George Clooney could either be, like, you could go, oh brother, and he could be the Don Knotts role, Or you could go George Clooney in, like, Mr. Fox, a little bit more level-headed, and he could be, like, the Bill Bixby role.
Oh, very true, very true. And weirdly enough, that guy's got range. He's an alright actor, isn't he, that George Clooney?
That George Clooney, yeah, he's gonna go far, I think.
Oh, we'll keep an eye on that young man.
Ooh, no. It's Alden Ehrenreich. Alden Ehrenreich is Bill Bixby, I think.
Oh, interesting. Slap a cowboy hat on that, man.
The Coens already did in Hail Caesar, so...
Oh, wow. I did not see that movie. I really need to see that movie, too.
So George Clooney's Don Knotts, which means he needs a funny guy, which I'm going through my Coen Rolodex. John Goodman?
I mean, yes, please.
Ooh.
I mean, that sounds good to me.
I've been waiting for this reteam for a long time, and I think maybe this is the time. I think scratch John Goodman, Nick Cage.
Wow, that would be and you want this to be less funny? That sounds absolutely hysterical. That sounds like they could be electric on screen together.
Well, they have to be they're still the comic relief, obviously, Amos and Theodore. But, it's gotta be serious. Bill Bixby's gonna have one leg, I think.
Ooh, alright.
He maybe got cut off in the war. I don't know. What year is this supposed to be? We don't know.
It's post-Civil War. I think there's like an old dusty Confederate uniform in the bad guy gang.
They don't talk about the war at all, though.
Weird how that is in that family comedy. Should talk about the Civil War. One of the other standout moments or standout sequences in this movie, definitely another moment of I definitely didn't pick up on this as a kid when she's angry about the bed frame getting bought.
Oh, yeah.
Marches into the tavern and just starts wailing on him like real bad for a full misunderstanding. Which honestly, the way they write that punchline at the end too, very funny, very well done. As much as the physicality of everything was really doing it for me comedy-wise, just the simple punchline at the end of just walking away from it all was very, very funny. I thought that was great.
I mean, this movie is not a revelation. It is a 70s family comedy with better than average physical comedy, and that is about it. But if we're talking about, I think the one part where it does fall down for me is the kids are not good actors, but I do wish they'd been in it more. They have very little agency. After they find the gold, they're pretty much just, out of the movie.
I notice how we haven't talked about them at all, because they don't really do much. They're a device to make Donovan do other things, more or less.
Which is fine. That's how this thing kind of goes.
I mean, sure, it's... Like you said, it's a 1975 Disney comedy. The little girl was adorable, and
she's so cute. She did such a good job.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what they needed to be. Mischievous enough to go into the mine, and cute enough afterward to be fun on screen, and that's exactly what they did.
The banker, who we mentioned John McGiver earlier, who is just incompetent and selfish, and he's always playing poker with Bill Bixby. I think that's a good time.
Colonel Sanders guy, the father of the leading lady whose character name I've fully forgotten.
Dusty.
Dusty, of course. Dusty's dad, who's just getting shwasted the whole movie, just taking shots during a gunfight. Like, hell yeah, he's getting it.
Yeah, I mean, this movie is fun. We watched it with one of our friends, Fritz, who I think... Who did not know it before and was like, well, that was certainly a way to spend 2 hours. And... So would I recommend this movie to somebody who's never seen it? No, unless you're under the age of 9. Because I don't think there's anything super problematic in it. There's a ill-placed gong, a musical cue when they run through the Chinese laundry neighborhood, but that's about it.
That is fair. Truly less problematic than I thought it would be, even though I think they put up that little warning, that Disney Plus warning up at the top too.
Dusty, even though she settles down and gets married, she wants that. They show us that she's been forced into this role by her father and that she does want to have a family. And I think, she's still being a strong-headed, fierce woman right till the end, even when she's in her pretty wedding dress. And so I think that, that part of it hasn't aged really that poorly. Because it's a love story, really, at the end of the day, this movie.
Oh, yeah.
The kids are cute enough. There's no depiction, really, of native people, which is probably for the best.
There was that one guy's wife who maybe was maybe something like that.
Yeah,
but
she
they never
she
really-
was clearly supposed to be native, but it didn't seem like she and the guy were just married. It didn't seem like there was any kind of weirdness there. There were no weird
Yeah,
jokes
that's
about
fair.
it. There was the Bandito guy. There was the bad guy gang is an ex-Confederate. Slim Pickens in a Reverend uniform, another guy, and a guy who actually appeared to be Hispanic. I don't know if he was or not.
Yeah, I mean, banditos were in gangs back then, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it is just like that funny stereotypical, like, all right, we got one of each guy in the bad guy gang, and now we can go into the town. Rewatching the Apple Dumpling Gang in the year of our Lord 2022.
How many people have watched the Apple Dumpling Gang this year, do you think?
I would love the Disney Plus wrap-up stats on that. Your most obscure movie viewing.
I could check if it's my most obscure movie viewing on Letterboxd. I could do that.
Ooh, I forgot to do my letterbox stuff. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, of course. We gotta plug. Do I have to plug it every week, Seamus? Do I have to say, Seamus, log your Letterboxd?
Oh, maybe.
It is my most obscure film watched this year of the.
Very
so far
nice.
in January, I've watched 23 films,
Holy
and of those
schmoly.
23 films, the Apple Dumpling Gang is the most obscure. So,
Well, it's a good one. Let's see if we can hold that throne pedestal place for the Apple Dumpling Gang for as long as we can. Until we watch the second one, and then it's gonna get bumped.
which somehow has like the same average rating on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes and Letterboxd and all those, which I remember being so much worse.
I am honestly expecting it to be so much better, Garrett, and maybe that's just because I don't know. It's the best part of the movie expanded on, and that's probably what they were thinking too, into making a terrible sequel. So we'll see how it goes.
We will, in fact, see how it goes. I think we are like just running absolutely on fumes right now.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to think if I don't think there's literally anything else that I can bring up about the Apple Dumpling Gang. It's a funny movie. I agree with your sentiment that it's like maybe not the easiest pitch for anybody that doesn't already have a nostalgic attachment to it, but if you do and you haven't seen it in like 15 years, then it's honestly very grand. So, very good stuff.
But let's talk about it even more as we move on to our pop culture reference of the episode.
Let's do it. This week's pop culture reference is an incredibly niche and very easy to miss joke that we caught in this week's main segment viewing, The Apple Dumpling Gang. In The Apple Dumpling Gang, Bill Bixby's character Russell Donovan is a frequent poker player. During a hand, he encourages a man to call his raise, and when the man obliges, Donovan says, "Now there's a man from Missouri." I hope you can hear the face I made when you listen back to
Oh,
that.
I can.
This is a reference to the Missouri State nickname, the Show Me State, implying that the man needs to call Donovan's raise to find out if he truly has a winning hand.
One version of the origin of this phrase cites incompetent mine workers from Missouri having to be repeatedly instructed on mine practices, and foremen saying, "That man is from Missouri. You'll have to show him." Another legend says that Missouri's U.S. Congressman William Dunkard Van Diver coined the phrase in an 1899 speech at a naval banquet, saying, "I come from a state that raises corn and cotton and cockleburs and Democrats, and frothy eloquence neither convinces nor satisfies me. I am from Missouri. You'll have to show me." Which is quite a speech to be making at a naval banquet, I think.
I was also going to say that was beautifully read, sir.
Thank you. I've been practicing.
Yeah, when this came up in the movie, we both looked at each other like we were crazy, because I had never heard any kind of phrasing like that before, but we kind of stumbled on this information today doing prep for the show, that this actually has some kind of actual significance.
Yeah, like I knew the phrase "show me state" with Missouri being the show me state, but I did not track that joke even a little bit. So I mean, maybe, I don't know. I'll have to defer to my parents. Maybe they'd understand if they watched it out of context. But
that definitely seems like a parent or a grandparent joke to get if you're showing this to the young kids in the family. That's definitely something they would pick up on more.
There were a handful of things that Donovan said, jokes he made in the Apple Dumpling Gang, that we were like, huh, that was weird and we don't understand it.
Yeah. Honestly, a call to action. Anybody who can explain the joke where in a hurry Donovan opens a door and a man and a prostitute fall out of it, and then in response to the little girl asking who the prostitute was, says that she was the president of the garden club. Couldn't even find a Googleable question to find the answer to this, so that's definitely up there with a man from Missouri with things that went straight over my head.
But yeah, that's our nichest little reference that we've ever done here on this show, but it's something that we didn't understand, and we thought you deserved to understand it too, because we know all of you, after our riveting discussion during our main segment, are racing out to watch the Apple Dumpling Gang.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we covered that for anybody like us who had absolutely no idea what that joke meant. But how's about we move on now to Save the Rec Center?
Let's do it. Now it's time to Save the Rec Center, where we bring you our weekly recommendations. Seamus, you were teasing it earlier, but I gotta know. This is the part I had to fast forward to, to find out so quickly. Tell me, what do you have for your Rec Center this week?
Yes. A lot of the racing game news that I was kind of talking around got me thinking about a game that I'm obsessed with right now. It was a PS Plus game at some point last year, one of the only PS5 games I claimed at the time before having one. But it's actually the only racing game that has ever held my attention for this long, and has been maybe one of my favorite games that I've played so far on the PS5, is Wreckfest. It is I believe originally a PC game it's just the perfect mix of like weird, goofy cars and tracks, like enough things that it's not just like a NASCAR game where you go in a circle, or a Gran Turismo game where everything is so realistic that it's almost impossible to play unless you're an expert. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I do.
But it's the perfect mix of like realistic destruction physics on cars and like goofy, weird, fun stuff to play around with based in a lot of like destruction derby kind of rules. And I've been having an absolute blast. I will not buy Gran Turismo anything, no matter the number or whatever, or Cars or whatever that other one is that's just like super hyper realistic racing like ever again, because this game just kind of hits the nail on the head and keeps it more fun than any other actual racing sim that I've ever played can keep it. So I don't know if you ever claimed that one when it was up for free, but I am highly recommending it, Garrett. It's a lot of fun, especially if you have people to watch you play and just like have your car turned into a pancake. It's definitely a blast.
I mean, if I could piggyback on you, I've played this a couple times, and I think the thing that really gets me with Wreckfest, is the thing that makes it seeming so fitting to me for the PS5, is that as your car becomes less and less like functional, it gets really hard to drive. And something I really like is that they use the dynamic triggers and the haptics to really make you feel like you have to exert more pressure sometimes to keep going in the game, which I think that's really fun.
Yeah, your triggers really start to feel like strained engine feeling gas pedals, and your realistic damage on wheels and engine parts and structural things. It's a lot of fun to really go hard at it. But what do you got this week, Garrett? Lay it on me.
Well, Seamus, I bet you could have guessed last night, and especially from the fact that I was talking about it so much yesterday, and then I haven't brought it up at all today during the show.
I know where this is going.
That if you enjoyed the Apple Dumpling Gang, a Disney 70s cowboy comedy starring Don Knotts, have we got a show for you. It is 1978's Hot Lead and Cold Feet. Don Knotts is an inept sheriff this time, turning that on its head. It is a film where Jim Dale plays 3 different roles. Jim Dale, who's probably best known to American audiences as the guy who reads the Harry Potter audiobooks.
Oh, hell yeah.
He was a pretty popular voice actor back in the day. He also narrated some of the Harry Potter video games, like the Chamber of Secrets video game. I remember being narrated by him.
Oh, no way.
He plays 3 different roles. He plays Eli Bloodshy, Jasper Bloodshy, and another Bloodshy. He plays his own twin brother and their dad. And
That's funny.
Their dad has faked his death to make his boys come together and compete for his inheritance in this western town. And it has an absolutely stacked cast, just like I was mentioning at the top of Apple Dumpling Gang. Darren McGavin is the crooked mayor. Don Knotts, as previously mentioned, is the inept sheriff. John Williams, not that one, is the butler of Jim Dale's, the dad, Bloodshy. It's really, like, I remember it being terrific. I had Apple Dumpling Gang and Hot Lead and Cold Feet on DVD, always, like, stacked next to each other when I was a kid. Both from the library book sale. You get it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I get it.
It's really a good time. It's wild. It's Billy Bloodshy. That I just remembered. It's
Billy
Bloodshy. Is the wild guy. I have no idea how good it is, kind of like the Apple Dumpling Gang in reality, but I definitely know if you enjoy the Apple Dumpling Gang, you will enjoy Hot Lead and Cold Feet.
Well, that sounds like a real treat. I would love to really dive into that with you, and it sounds to me like there is a little more of a tangible plot to hang on to, too, so that might be a nice little distance between this and Apple Dumpling Gang, so that sounds like I would really, really, really like it.
Weirdly, it is not available on Disney Plus. I don't know if that's like a rights thing. I don't know if for some reason it isn't. I know that I recently actually bought it digitally because that's the only way it's available in high definition. And it was like, it would have been like renting it for $5 to watch once or buying it for like $7 or $8 to own forever. So I was like, I'm just going to buy Hot Lead and Cold Feet, obviously.
You'll watch that again with me, for
yeah,
sure.
Exactly. So you could probably rustle up a DVD of it somewhere, would probably be the most effective way to do it at some used media store or online. It is a hoot. Don Knotts falls into some mud, you know? He doesn't steal any ladders, but...
Damn, I was going to ask.
I would say this one's much more, like, if Apple Dumpling Gang is a feat of physical comedy, I would say the screenplay for Hot Lead and Cold Feet is like the real star. Like it's clever and funny. Also, some of the trains that are used in the film are used as decoration now around Big Thunder Mountain at Disneyland.
Oh, that's really cool. That's really dope.
That's what I got for Hot Lead and Cold Feet. Go check it out.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. I definitely will with you, no doubt, actually.
Oh, positive. But I think that wraps us up for this week's episode of Pop Culture Reference. If you want to reach the show, you can find us at PCR_podcast on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. You can email us at popculturereferencepod@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube. Wherever you're listening to this episode, give us a like, give us a rating, giving us a review or a subscription. All of that stuff really, really helps us out here on the show. Next week, we are going to be covering, as previously mentioned, the first 2 Uncharted games in preparation for the upcoming Uncharted film coming out at the end of the month here. So, I'm really looking forward to talking about these games with you. I think we're probably going to talk about one of them more than the other.
I was going to say that too.
Which is kind of why we paired them up this way. I think we're doing 1 and 2, and then the week after we're doing 3 and 4. Definitely, you know, there's a standout in each of those pairings.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
I don't think there's a bad Uncharted game. So, I want to say that. I don't want anybody coming for us.
Absolutely not. I've always been a big fan. But if somebody's offering me between playing the first game and the second game, we'll get there in the next episode.
Yeah, so that'll be really fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Is that the first, like, official video game episode we've done, I think?
Well, I mean, we did the Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, yeah, that was so fun. I forgot about that. I'm a fool.
Yeah, that was a good one. You're good. This is the first, like, AAA, like,
yeah,
bigger than a lovely Ubisoft pixel brawler game.
I think that wraps us up, though. See you next week, everybody.
Shout out Columbus, Ohio. Adios, amigos.
Just no context on that one, huh? Just shout out Columbus, Ohio.
They'll know. Columbus knows. Columbus always knows.